Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Barb Wire Bite podcast, the video version if you're watching, the audio version if you're listening. I am here always with our host, Mr. Gary Wolf, Pitbull number one. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Sunday, brother. Sunday fun day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Already up to the errands around the house?
Nah, I do. As far as errands around the house, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, the way me and my girl are, we do errands around the house every day or every other day. I got two dogs,
Yeah.
so you know how that is with two dogs. You got to be.
Yeah, I just drugged one of mine, so he'll be quiet.
Gotcha. Nice.
Well, I watched American Horror Story yesterday. That was a good episode.
I was hoping you'd like it. That freaked me out, especially when they were talking about all the forests around the whole world. You know what I mean? It was like crazy, man. It was interesting. It was
Then that kid turned out to be like the head of the inbreds or something. That was cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was like what, 15 years later, and the kid was 3
Yeah.
when he disappeared, and they became cannibals. That was pretty wicked.
I like when they were like telling the kid, hey, whatever the kid's name was, your parents, all that. The one was like, who are they? And he's looking at dinner, and they saw it. That was cool.
That was, yeah. I didn't expect that. I didn't know what the swerve was going to be, but there wasn't one. I mean, he was just like, they just ate him.
So now I watched that. Did you watch Titans?
No, I didn't get a chance to do the Titans. I did watch Suicide Squad.
Oh, did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. That shark was badass, man. Big ass, great white.
He was me and my son's favorite, especially like when just the random stuff he would say, like "new dumb friends" and "nom nom," and yeah, he's like a favorite character of mine now.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. I didn't honestly. I thought it wasn't going to be that good, but it was kind of a comedy mixed with an action. You know what I mean?
How much do you think Stallone got paid for voicing that shark?
Oh, nice payday. Nice pay. At least 6 figures, 7 figures.
He was great.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's one of them films. It's was it Marvel or DC? I mean, whatever it is.
DC, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man. Which one's Spider-Man in Marvel?
He's Marvel, yeah.
They got to bring out the Rhino, man. They used to always steal the gold bullion. That's what they.
He has to do the gold though.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I was disappointed when. I was disappointed when the real Rhino from ECW went to WWE, because I remember when he ran down, I was like, "Oh, this dude, he's huge." And then I saw him at WWE. It was like, "Hey, he's not that big at all." The mystique left.
Yeah. With that gimmick, I would have went all out on that gimmick. You know what I mean? They tried to do it with other guys like Mantor or whatever they called him.
Yeah.
Like I think they let him come out with a buffalo head or something like that once or twice, but
he don't look far from me.
Yeah, it didn't get over.
So what do you think of Rampage?
I liked Rampage. It was pretty short, sweet, 3 matches, within the hour. Pretty much, I'll be honest with you, it was an ECW show, if you think about it, except for the way it was set up. You know what I mean? I was surprised, I guess, because Britt Baker, whatever her name is, the dentist, I guess she's from Pittsburgh, so she's pretty over. I was actually surprised they put her in a main event. But, I mean, they opened the show with a main event, pretty much. If you look at the shows that they do on Wednesdays, I mean, shit, the first match is a semi or main event in any other show. You know what I mean?
What do you think? Because I'm actually a mark for Omega. But what do you think of, like, I get that, now that he's the heel, they've got to make him, you got to boom. So you got to get the Bucks out there and all this. But do you think it makes him look weak? Like, for me, it does. Always having this guy who's considered, one of the greatest in the world, every match, every single match, outside interference from anywhere from 2 to 6 guys. Do you think that makes him look weak?
I'd rather him do that than look like Superman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, I think the Young Bucks are great heels. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they're hilarious. It's awesome. It's awesome. So just having Omega with them just makes that faction even, higher standard. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind the fucking goofiness because it's fucking entertainment, man. At least they're having a blast. I honestly can look at them and say to myself, they're having a good time. No stress. They're having fucking fun. Because they're being allowed to do what they want to do. They're using their own ideas. They're coming up with their own stuff to say. Not everything is written on a piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? Word for word, like WWE. You know what I mean? Everything they say, I mean, it's totally written for them.
I think putting Omega with Callis was, and you worked with Don for a little bit in ECW. I think that was smart because I never thought he was a great wrestler, but I think he's a very good talker, and I like him as in the managerial role. I think he does a good job.
I never seen him wrestle, but he was in ECW, and he's a hell of a manager, talker. And compared to back then to now, I mean, shit, it's apples and oranges. I mean, he's got the experience now, and he's got it down pat. And he just makes he's the F factor. He's the factor that actually helps that whole clique get over as heels. You know what I mean? He's like talking the talk. So I like it.
I like when he's in the booth because my complaint that I've always had with AEW was you got Excalibur, you got Ross, and you got Shivani. You've got 3 basically good guys doing the commentary. You need that heel up there to kind of, it's like when they would bring in Taz. I didn't like Friday's show. Jericho, to me, he never shut up. And when he would shut up, then Taz wouldn't shut up. I didn't know Mark Henry or Excalibur were even there. It was just a cluster.
At first, I'll be honest with you. At first, I noticed, they were letting one guy talk first, and the other guy talked, and the other. They were all taking turns, to get their 2 cents in. But you got to remember, somebody's on the other line of that speaker. You know what I mean? And most of the time, they're talking for them. So they're trying to get their stuff in. Everybody was trying to get their stuff in, especially Chris. He wasn't on the show, so he wants to be relevant. So he definitely wants to be talking on the sidelines. And I love his commentary. He's hilarious, man. All their guys are pretty good. Taz, I guess he's holding on to that spot because that could be a good spot for him doing commentating. That's just my opinion. I mean, if they're going to have so many shows, they're going to have to switch up the commentators. They can't have all, like, even Jim Ross, you got to give him a night off. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need a different, different outlook and somebody, than Jim Ross all the time. You know what I mean? And Shivani all the time.
I like Taz. Like I've told you before, I like everybody else. I bought into the ECW gimmick. I thought Taz was unstoppable, the human suplex machine. Then goes to WWE. Like I said before, Lawler says, I got socks taller than this guy. That was it. His career died, but he became a commentator, and I thought, great. I loved his commentating run. I would like to see him be a commentator as opposed to a manager, to be honest with you.
He's a much better commentator than manager. That's for sure. I remember back in the day, well, rumors I would hear was Vince wanted to get rid of him. He had him. He was expecting all these big things and didn't turn out that way. When he got in the ring, he exposed himself and Vince was able to pick it up real quick. So the only people that actually saved his ass was MTV, because that's when they were doing business with MTV. And MTV loved Taz. They loved his gimmick. You know, they loved his commentator stuff. And they told Vince, we want to keep him on, especially on MTV when they were involved. And that's ended up how he kept his job. So
I still believe that, I don't know if it was, by no means is it the greatest heel turn ever, but the promo Taz cut, because you never really talked. And then when he joined, when he hit Todd Gordon and joined Fonzie, and he was like, nobody wrote me a card or a letter this guy did. And he was like, started yelling at the fans. He's like, you know, fuck you, motherfucker. I seen a better head come out of a zipper. I'll choke you out. It was like he kind of came alive that night. And I was sold on it. I was a big, big fan of his from that moment on.
He was the Tasmanian devil. That was his gimmick. The Tasmaniac. That was his gimmick. So
Terrible.
Yeah. So Paul was like, look, I mean, I had to do an angle with him when I first got there. You know, it was Pitbull versus the Tasmaniac. You know, it was cool. But I could just see that he wasn't able to like be himself. And the way he is as Taz is himself. Yeah. So Pete is pretty much, in ECW days, he was a fucking asshole. Everybody knew it. You know what I mean? He would pick on guys that were weaker until other people would get in his face. The famous line, man, that my man, Mr. Monday Night Rob Van Dam said once, pick a hand, motherfucker. And he didn't pick no hand. So, you know what I mean? That exposed you right there. But other than that, I mean,
Van Dam knocked him. Van Dam hit him and knocked him out, didn't he?
I'm not going to get into it. But no, I heard he didn't pick a hand. That's what I know. He didn't pick a hand because he didn't want no parts of that. But what Paul did was said, look, Pete, you're fucking pissed off. You're always fucking miserable. We're going to call you Taz, T-A-Z. And I want you to be you, how you are, you know. And that's how Taz is. He's an ass. He acts like an asshole. So that gimmick was perfect for him. I mean, him being himself, and then, I mean, to put the cherry on top, Paul even made a belt for him called Fuck the World belt. So he has a strap. And you don't have to cry about not having a belt no more. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the FTW belt came from, which is now being used in AEW, which I think is a good idea, but it's not, you got to find the right person to have that belt. Like, he's got to be an asshole, you know, to the T. You know what I mean? Because that's Fuck the World belt. It's like, fuck you. I don't care about you or anybody else. I only care about me and this belt, nobody else. And they haven't found that somebody that could be a heel enough to really sell that belt. So I think it's on the waste right now, to be honest with you.
I like Brian Cage, and if you go here on YouTube, you can see an interview I did with Cage. He's a nice guy. I hate to blow the mystique. Brian Cage is a hell of a nice guy, hell of a cool guy. Too nice of a guy for that Fuck the World belt. And you can see it when he had it. I know he dropped it to Starks, but when he had it, you can tell he didn't have that sour look like Taz did that you need, like you said. He was just Brian Cage is, whether he wants to admit it or not, he's a natural babyface.
Yeah, I know he is. But I mean, I got to give him props, man. He trains his ass off. I mean, that's all I got to say. I mean, he's an old soul in my book because he's old school to me because he works out. I mean, guys that are in the business should be going to the gym all the time. You know what I mean? I mean, that goes with the program. When I was with WWE back in the day, I remember, you know, being in the gym lifting with Tiny. You know what I mean? Remember from Friday and shit? He was Zeus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got to train with him. I mean, a lot of guys I got to work out with, man, which I never thought I would even meet, not alone get to train with them and actually, you know, because back in the day, that's what everybody did. All the guys would always have their at least 2 hours to go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Without a doubt. I mean, that's what everybody did. But Cage is definitely in that category. I mean, I think he looks good, but he's not a good enough heel. Like a John Moxley would be hell of a heel with that strap. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would have did it. But
I know people can look at me now, and if they knew me from years ago, they can say, "Boy, Doc, the years have not been kind to you," because I haven't kept up. I'm getting back into shape, but I haven't for a while. But when I was young and I wanted to do all this, I would see these guys and it'd be like, "Geez, this guy's a monster. This guy's a monster." Now, and by no means am I in good shape now, but I can still watch, especially in the case of an AEW, and be like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm bigger than this guy. I'm stronger than this guy. A lot of these guys, I mean, like you said, you've got a lot of them there. They don't even look like they do cardio or walk on a treadmill, let alone lift weights.
Yeah, that has to change. I mean, they have a lot of young guys. I mean, they're young, very talented, that could do some amazing shit, but they got to learn to sell. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys, they have their abilities and they have their skills, but they don't have the science, the psychology yet. That takes 6-7 years. I mean, I was always told that, and it does. Before you know it, I mean, I could go in a ring with the greenest motherfucker in the world right now and make him look like a superstar. You know what I mean? So it's the psychology of it. And, they're hitting each other with so many moves that are finishes. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, the next thing will be somebody pulling out a gun or something like they did in Japan, which I saw on Facebook one day. But other than that, I mean, now that they got some more shows going on, I think I think that Friday night's got to be a 2-hour. I wouldn't do the hour. I would try to make it a 2-hour show. And if I was and if I was AEW, I'd go right against Friday Night SmackDown for the fuck of it. You know what I'm saying? Just for the hell of it.
Now, I'm a big mark. You can see, here's a quick plug for you. I'm a Darby Allin mark.
Yeah.
Love that kid.
Yeah.
That kid weighs about legitimately real weight, not wrestling weight. That kid's about 160 pounds. I'm not going to put him much more than that. Putting him in the ring with Miro, I mean, that should have been a 30-second squash. There should never have been anything competitive about that match.
Yeah. I don't know how he does that. What's that? The tombstone, he calls it?
Coffin drop?
Coffin drop. Dude, that's crazy. Because that's a blind fucking spot right there he does. He's got to be dead on. So I'm actually happy for him, to be honest with you, because he's from Seattle, which I'm heading out there with my boy Ron Von Hess and his company. I never been there, but that's where he came from, and he's a skateboarder, which I was when I was a kid. And I'm glad that they gave him the chance because, you know what I mean? He struggled, and he did pay his dues. People don't know that, but I've seen some shit where, he'd have to be in the car 8, 9, 10 hours going to a show, just an independent show, so that, that's good because I used to have to do that. You know what I mean? When Larry Sharp would tell me and Anthony, like, hey, you want to go to North Carolina, work? I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, go. We both have $30 in our pockets, but we made it there, and got a job with George Scott and Paul Jones, Fuck, man, we lucked out like a motherfucker.
Well, even if you watch like old, and I don't mean like just Game Changer shit, which I like Game Changer, from like a few years ago with Orange Cassidy, go back 7, 8 years, that guy, he went through a lot of different gimmicks. He would get booed out of the building. When he came up with that, I'm not going to do shit, I'm going to put my hands in my pockets, he became over. And I won't lie to you, I'm a fan too. And if you watch him, just to be able to do a kip up or a clothesline with your hands in your pocket, there's a lot of athletic ability there.
Oh, he's a great worker. I mean, he could work his ass off. But like you said, it wasn't doing it for him because it's not like he's in the gym training. So there you go. He's not training. So he's got to come up with something else. And what he came up with, I thought was fucking hilarious because in our business, I always said, and I was always told, don't let the crowd, tell you what to do. You know what I mean? If they're booing you because they're saying it's boring, I fucking will snapmare you and grab you in a fucking headlock, and that's it. And I'll turn to the people and say, fucking kiss my ass. You're going to get this. You know what I mean? And that's how I'll do it. But he came up with something even better because he got smart and he came up with some psychology. You know what I mean? What he's doing is that's psychology, dude. I know it looks stupid to other people, but that it's getting over. You know, and it's having him do, you don't have to do much. I mean, it's saving his body. You know, but like I said, that coffin drop, man, be careful, brother, because you don't want that catching up to you, man. I'm just giving you that advice, bro.
You know, I always liked when the honky tonk man said, I don't know if you like honky or not. I always enjoyed him, but I like when he said, you know, if the crowd ever chants boring, that's when I turn it down a notch. So, because do you think ECW, do you think you guys let the crowd control too much as far as how you had to take the violence so high, there was nowhere to go but down?
ECW?
Yeah.
No, because in ECW, we always had, everybody would sit around the screen, the monitor in the back. I'm talking every single show, which was a big show, especially at the arena. And every single time, no lie, we all would sit there and we would look at the monitor, you know, and like if I was last that night or semi-main that night or just, you know, one of the mid-card matches, I mean, I'm watching every single match. Number one, I don't want to repeat anything. Number two, I got to be better than that match. You know what I'm saying? So that's what everybody was thinking in the ECW locker room, was doing better. Whatever out there now, one's out there, two's next, we got to make it better. Three's next, we got to make it better. Four's next, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to make the people go fucking crazy. And by the time you know it, it's the main event, semi-main event, guys. And we would do 45 minutes and we still got, I mean, we would get mega pops out the match. You see what I'm saying? Before the finish was even done. You know, I remember to this day when after I broke my neck, I rehabilitated it. And it was the night at the arena. Shane Douglas was in the middle of the ring, cutting his promos, really awesome. Ric Rude comes in and blah, blah, blah. You know, you say you beat everybody here, but there's somebody back there that you know, that's still here that wants to get you. He had no idea it was going to be me because he figured he broke my neck, I'm out and I'm done forever. But I was lucky. I got Ric Rude to bring me back. The roof almost came off that freaking building, man, at the arena. The pop was fucking tremendous when I came in that night. It bumped him, bing, bang, boom, boom, boom. Out the ring he goes, and I'm back. And it was fucking awesome. You know what I mean? So that's memories that I can never get back because, you know, Rude's not here no more. You know, it's fun.
Let me ask you this, because you knew Ric Rude. There's a rumor. I think once again we got to go back to the honky tonk man. I don't know if he started it but he sure said it a lot that Rude committed suicide. That he took a bunch of Viagra, shot it into, I might be paraphrasing, shot it into his dick because he couldn't get hard anymore from steroids or something like that, and his penis fell off, and so he committed suicide. That sounds too stupid to believe, but as somebody that knew Rude, do you think that's possible? That he lost use of his dick or it fell off and he killed himself?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's just fucking ridiculous, man. Whoever came up with that shit's fucking out of their mind. Nah. There was an accident. I think he had an accidental overdose or something. You know, and it's not funny because it happened in his son's bathroom, you know, and in the house, which is not cool either. You know what I'm saying? And I know Rick, and I don't know what the dealio was back then because I wasn't talking to him at that time. But I mean, when I was working with him, he'd be hilarious. I mean, I'm standing in the hotel, and here he comes walking in. He's got his VCR, about 8 porno flicks, and he's bringing it right up to his room. He don't care. You know what I mean? So I don't think he had a problem when it came to that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a stupid story that somebody just made up. What I heard was, like I said, it was an accidental because Rick was very nice, very humble dude, took care of his family, everybody. I mean, it was very important to him. I remember he told me he was going on that jet that they had for years and years and years, and then they stopped. The Concorde. He was doing that, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to take my mother-in-law and my family. You know, we're going to go to Germany, whatever. We're going to take the Concorde." I'm like, "Wow, that's nice, man." He's like, yeah, you know, I got it, so I'm gonna take care of the family and stuff like that. He would say that's how he would talk. He was cool, you know.
Because he was kind of training to get back into the ring. He was going to try to make one more comeback for WCW, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he got hurt in Japan. Him and Sting were working together, and they were doing a spot where Sting's going to fly out over the top rope, you know, and you know Rick was going to catch him. Sting didn't really go high; he more, you know, went toward him like that. So the impact was a lot harder. And in Japan at that time, the ring was up on a stage about like probably that much, maybe 2 feet or something. So when he caught him, his neck went over that. So he injured his neck pretty bad on that one spot. And then that's what made him leave WCW at that time.
Let me ask you, because you knew Rick and you were there at the time. It was your angle when Francine, nice lady. I had nothing bad to say about Francine. Ric Rude picked her up, and it made, you can find it all over. You already know what I'm talking about because I can see you smiling. He picked her up like he was going to powerbomb her ass, and it looked like he started eating her out. I know he wasn't, but he shoved his head straight in there. I know she was not happy about it. Did he just do that like to try to get a pop on his own, or did he say in advance, I'm going to do this? Because that today's standards, that would not fly.
No. Today, God forbid, I have to sit here right now and be careful what I say. Okay? I'm not shitting you because believe me, no, knowing Rick, he did that on the fly. I remember he spanked the living shit out of her ass the one night.
Yeah.
Hey, Francine knew what she was getting into. You know, that's her spot. You know, that's why she was there. She's a professional. She could handle it. She did good.
Well, it's like when Dreamer pile drove Beulah. You know, that was done on purpose. She had a little skirt, it fell down. You could see her panties, and Dreamer made a point to turn 1, 2, every corner so everybody could get a little pop. And, you know, but like we said, now today you do that? No, that would not, you'd get suspended.
Well, it was a tits and ass gimmick. You know what I mean? Those our fans, our ECW fans were freaking crazy. I mean, I remember one night we lost power, okay, to most of the lights. They had a spotlight that actually worked. And Kimona Wanalea actually came out and did a whole striptease thing just to keep the people, you know, from losing their shit. And it was fucking tremendous. Everybody went crazy. You know, actually the fans,
I bought the video.
So, you know what I mean? So, I mean, and then look what happened to Vince. I mean, he was doing Kiss My Ass, and he'd pull his pants down in the ring and have wrestlers kiss his ass legitimately. You know? Come on, man. And then half the girl, they were always copied off of us, man. You know what I mean? Until they became, you know, until WWE had to become, you know, the Attitude Era. You know, they had no choice because ECW changed the business. You know, for that time being, people were like, you know, why watch this boring shit when I could watch this crazy ass shit? Girls, you know, and guys bleeding, hitting each other with chairs, putting each other through tables. And then you got crazy bitches wrestling and fighting each other, having cat fights all the time. I mean, our angles were awesome. I mean, if you look at Raven and the Sandman angle, when Raven took his wife and his kid, they don't do that shit now. I mean, that was some killer fucking angles. You know, even the angle I did with Shane Douglas was we had a 2-year run, me and him, doing that gimmick, just in ECW, because it was so over. I mean, people jumped over the guardrail, okay, and tried to attack him. I've never seen it before done, and I have not seen it since. So until it happens again, we have the biggest heat ever, and that's to make fans jump over the guardrail. I don't care what match, I don't care whose matches it was, people weren't jumping. I mean, if Mankind came off that cage with The Undertaker, which I thought was a fucking unbelievable match, and the bumps.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, and the bumps that he took, I mean, I didn't see people jump over the guardrail. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big difference.
I always remembered, it's a story I always tell. I used to have to get ECW. It didn't air around here. So I probably a lot of people we buy the tapes. So I was always a little behind. And I remember we were watching, me and my friend watching Superstars, and it was Hart was getting ready to fight Diesel, and he cut this promo, and he was like, "And I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you in the ring, you big dummy." And it was like, oh Jesus Christ! And we put it on, and then that's when I saw November to Remember, and I see Taz, and I'll fucking choke you out, you motherfucker. And I was like, this is what I want to watch. This is Lisa. I'm watching a cartoon, that I want to see ECW. And then, like you said, a few years later, I basically WWE. I was watching ECW with the budget. And that's exactly what WWE was at the time to me. It was ECW with money behind it.
No, that's right on the money there. I mean, Vince was giving Paul a check for a while, I guess. I mean, we not every like. I mean, I would always wonder, like, how the hell did we get Jerry the King Lawler to come in? Like, wouldn't Vince stop that? I would.
He had Cornette too.
Yeah, Cornette. I mean, I would say it to myself, and next thing I know, I just would forget about it. You know what I mean? It's done and over with. So, but I didn't have any idea that, Vince would want to take us. We even be bothered with us, But until I realized, damn, we're making a little difference. People are talking about us a little more. Some of our fans are going to their show and actually shitting on it. That's how crazy ECW fans are. They'll buy a ticket to go to WF just to say go ECW or go fuck yourself. But I mean, I still to this day don't hear WWE fans chant WWE. But I am starting to notice in AEW that it's becoming like almost an ECW show, especially that last night show. We used to have 1 hour show, and we would show about 3 matches, and maybe 4 if it was a squash match. You know what I mean? And we did really push and I was a TV champion at that time. So I remember for TV especially, they pushed us hard if you had the TV belt. So, I always had something to say if it was a promo or a match in every single show,
I think the other thing that I really like about the booking in ECW, which a lot of people don't realize, I was always a big mark for your friend, Sandman Hack.
Yeah.
That guy lost. He was like Dreamer. They lost like every fucking match. In some cases, for over a year. You never think about that. You never realized it because they were so over. I watched Sandman. Raven jobbed him out for a year straight, but no one ever realized that. It was just, Sandman's got. You just didn't realize, hey, this guy's losing every time I see him, but it didn't register. It didn't make a difference over there. It was so cool.
Because that wasn't the last thing they seen. You see what I'm saying? Raven could win the match. 1, 2, 3, pop, yeah. But before you know it, Sandman's up with the cane and he whoops his ass and gives him his finish. Boom, he leaves the ring. You're not remembering, Sandman lost. You're remembering, Sandman just kicked his ass and walked out. So that's why
you mentioned,
and with Dreamer, like you said, yeah, he would lose every match. He would never want to go over. That's what he wanted to do. So. That made it easier for the booker, and then it makes it even easier to put him in the storyline. So
I thought when Dreamer did the job to Raven, because Raven was going to leave, that was the one time I'll say that was stupid booking, because everybody knew it was going to happen. It was like, let's do it where he beats you, he leaves, and then you're left with, oh my God, I never got my revenge. It leaves the door open for when, which he eventually did when Raven would come back.
Is that when he went to work for WCW and he came back?
Yeah, then he came back and he was like Tommy's tag partner, but he didn't like him, and then he didn't really do much. He just went over to WWE.
Yeah, I feel they should have never let Dreamer get the win over Raven. They should have, even though. They were thinking he was leaving and he wasn't coming back. So I mean, the right thing to do was for Scotty to lay down for Tommy. You know what I mean? He's leaving, so that's the right thing to do. They weren't thinking he's going to be coming back and we're going to do it again. You know what I'm saying? That's why. So
now you mentioned ECW is known for their famous fans. hair guy, sign guy, old guy, or sunglasses guy. My favorite, the hat guy. Do you ever watch? Because I know I can watch other shows, like older WWE shows. You watch them there in Philly. Hat guy's there. So, I mean, like, I was scanning the crowd in AEW. Even my son was, because he knows the legend. And we're like, is Hat Guy in the building? So now every time we go to Philly, we're always looking for Hat Guy. He's in the crowd. Do you think it's cool that your fans actually had fans?
Oh yeah, yeah. They were those guys were diehards. I mean, they were season ticket guys. Like they were the guys that already had their tickets for the whole year, and that's their seat, and nobody's getting it. And that's how they were. And they all were cool people. You know what I mean? Like we actually got to know them and talk to them, and they were pretty cool cats, man. Especially Hat Guy. Hat Guy, he's still alive, I think, and he's doing something with the business, I'm sure, because he got over. But I was watching AEW, and I found there was a guy out there with a hat on, with a sign.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, they're getting their own Hat Guy now. I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean?
He had the Hawaiian shirt on too.
Yeah, exactly. He had and that's what he would always wear, the Hawaiian shirt. No shit.
That's great. I mean, I like that. I think the two things. I think the season ticket, that's genius because you're always going to see those same people. Plus, you're basically guaranteeing your tickets beforehand. But I always liked that Paul Heyman would do the whole, when the internet was so new, let's get this convention, let's do a shoot Cyber Slam. Let's have the wrestlers answer questions and shoot. And let me ask you, because maybe this is just a conspiracy I had. I'm not like, at the time I was a sheet reader, not really anymore, but you'd see like the Pitbulls and Public Enemy, Dave Meltzer, 5 stars. Mikey Whipwreck, Sabu, 5 stars. Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, that's 3 stars. Was Paulie kind of working the sheets at the time, giving them some access, some news, so they'd give it a lot of good press and he'd sell more tapes? Do you think he was kind of working them like that? Or do you think they were just true fans of the product like everyone else?
Knowing Paul, he was probably trying to trick him somehow. I mean, he's always up to something. You know what I'm saying? But you got to remember, we had, like RF Videos from Philadelphia. So they were always in the building regardless. So I'm sure he just made a deal with Rob, and Rob was happy to videotape the stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that was his thing.
Oh, I mean, I probably put the kid through college buying every, like I said, we were talking the other day. Name me another company that was filming house shows and selling them. And I mean, they were selling them. I have 2 years worth of house shows that were never mentioned, but you did it. I watched one, and here's Dreamer and here's Brian Lee. They go out into the street. They're in a neighborhood. But when you watch that, it's like, man, something special is going to happen in my town. If this company comes here, I've got to see this, because you never know what's going to happen.
Dude, it's true. I mean, look at the one show. It was called, it was in New York, Queens, New York. Forget what they named it, but we literally stopped traffic. It was us versus the Bruise Brothers. And
was that Massacre on 34th Street or something like that?
That's it. Yeah, because it was snowing outside. And I remember to this day, we were in the building and we were beating the shit out. I think Dreamer actually tugged up with me and Anthony. It was a 6-man.
Yeah.
And it was against, I think, Brian Lee and the Bruise Brothers. And you could see the size of those guys, you know what I'm saying? But we could still have great matches with them. We just changed our style. And that's what we did. And we took it out to the outside because that building was so hot. I remember we were dying in there, man. And I was like, fuck it, man. I'm going outside. And I remember grabbing one of the Bruise Brothers by the head. And I said, let's go. And I remember throwing him right through the metal door, opened up. And I look out and it's fucking snowing. And then I'm like, screw it. We ended up fighting and going out in the street. And before you know it, we stopped traffic. Because I literally told him, I body slammed him. And then when we were working back up, I remember he slammed me on a car. So, I mean, imagine being in a car, next thing you know, some guy slams somebody on your hood of your car, but not get pissed off about it, gets out and is like, yeah, this is fucking great. Because they seen the cameras, they followed us out there. It was perfect. I didn't plan on doing that. It just happened that during that match,
Oh, I remember there was like the city vans parked in front of the building, and you guys are just smashing. You dented the shit. It's on the WWE network, under your ECW stuff. I like to watch the old discs because the music and everything, I don't like it changed. But no, yeah, I remember that. And then it was because no companies were going outside at the time. They were not fighting into the crowds. They weren't going outside, or if they did, it was really gimmicked, like when Benoit and Sullivan would do it. You could see people planted throughout the crowd for protection. They'd have a fake souvenir stand, fake table. You guys just beat the shit out of everything. One of them house shows, you guys went into a hockey game that was going on. I think it was Bubba Dudley.
Yeah, I didn't know what we were going to do until I got out there. I mean, I had an idea what was going to happen, but when I'm out there, we pretty much put it together. That's how we did it anyway. So it wasn't planned. I didn't ask for any police protection, even though we could have got it. We just did our thing. And like I said, the fans followed us out, and that's what made the difference. If the fans would have just stayed in the building, you just would have got the coverage of us and it would have looked staged. But the fans coming outside with us and following us, they're like, screw it. That's what made it like so much more over,
Well, let me ask, because you've made the rounds. You've made the Wrestling Inc. rounds. You made the Sportster rounds. Only fitting that you make the rounds on your own show. We know a long time ago that if somebody couldn't get over, in the case like, let's say, Furnace and LaFawn, Al Snow, Brackus, all these people, Vince would say, Paul, we'll send you some guys. And nobody knew that was going on, but that's what happened. Now the big rumor, and your opinion, is that Vince has a little piece of AEW.
It just makes sense to me. I mean, like I said, I know Paul White, I know Mark Henry, and they're real tight with Vince. Aleister Black. Didn't he have a 90-day clause on his contract? Because I think
his somehow got messed up, and it was only 30 days, which that company isn't going to botch one penny, let alone fuck up on 60 days on a deal.
No way, bro. No way. They give you 90 days when you first sign. And then when they get rid of you, they give you another 90 days. You cannot work in any capacity, especially in that gimmick, or anybody else for 90 days, because he wants people to forget about you, and that's the truth. But then again, it seems like he's cutting his roster in half when he's getting all the people back. All the people are allowed COVID the way COVID looks. They're filling up their stadiums. You know what I'm saying? I could see the crowd's pretty good. People are tired of not being there seeing live wrestling, so they're going to go. But some of these guys, just too many guys going over there. You know what I mean? And then you got Arn Anderson, you got Tully Blanchard, you got Diamond Dallas Page, you got Sting. Sting is owned by Vince McMahon. How can he sell masks and, how can he, he bought WCW. Sting's part of WCW the last time I remember. He was a champion.
Well, and how can you say, I'm sure Sting over the years would own his name, but a lot of these guys, like in the day, if you were the Pitbulls, even if you own the name, WWE, you could have been the Rabid Dogs, or, the Diamond Stud is now Razor Ramon, and everybody got a name change. Now it's, well, you're Paul White, you're Mark Henry, you're Malachi Black. They changed his first name. They're not changing the gimmicks. And that's what WWE used to sue people over. Like, nope. This looks too much like our product. These guys are going the exact same thing, and they're not saying anything. It is kind of odd.
I'll give you an example. You made a good point there. Look at Brutus the Barber Beefcake. When he left Vince, he was Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He went to NWA. I mean, he went to WCW, and Hogan's boy brought him into NWO, and he just changed his complete gimmick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's okay. Vince can't do shit about that. But when you got Paul White, who is Big Show, has a BS on his shirt, and he's choke slamming somebody in the middle of the ring, which is his finish. It's the only thing that Vince would allow him to do, because Big Show could do a lot more shit. He's got a great. Did you see his fucking drop kick, bro? But they never.
Oh, he can jump off the top rope.
Yeah, but they don't want him to wrestle. They're like, no, your gimmick is the giant, and you got to act like a giant, and you just choke slam people, and that's all you're going to do. And you have to make sure you step over that top rope every single night. That's part of his job, is stepping over that top rope. It sounds silly, but that's the way it is, man.
How about Andrade? And no offense to anyone listening, Andrade's a mid-card guy to me. I mean, I saw him in NXT, and then when they brought him to the roster, he didn't do it for me. But here's Andrade. They bring him over to AEW, where he's Andrade. Same suits, same interviews. Now the hot word is Ric Flair. Ric Flair was with him last night at Triple Mania. They're saying Flair's going to be with him in AEW. I can see that too, but he'll be Ric Flair. You know, when Charlotte going to come over there? You know, there's.
Oh, well, I think.
Why isn't Andrade having to go over there as somebody different? Why did he get to keep the gimmick in the name?
They need Charlotte there. Charlotte would be great there. She'd be champ. I know. I heard rumors too about Rick going over there, but like I said, I mean, isn't Rick in a Legends contract? Somewhat.
He would have to be.
You know what I mean? So, and I heard he's. I mean, no bullshit. Rick is actually training again.
Yeah.
He's working out, and if any guy his age can come back, he can. Believe me, because I used to watch him work out every day. Shit, back in 88, 89. When we were in North Carolina at Ricky Steamboat's gym, he was there every fucking morning. And I'm talking, that's when the first stair climber came in. And he would work on that sucker for an hour and a half, man, on the like highest level. And just I mean, there'd be a pile of water on the ground from sweat. That's how hard he trained. You know, he didn't lift too much weights because he was always big, Rick. But he wanted to get his heart strong, so he could do an hour match every night if he wanted to. And that's what we learned. I mean, we would go to the gym, we'd get up, eat, go to the gym. On the way home, we have to we got to stop at the liquor store, pick up Busch beer for Colonel Parker, who was Robert Fuller. And we were in the stud stable with Matt Bourne, the Nasty Boys were with us. And we always had to go, that was our job because we were young guys, was after we trained, which we did almost every day, we would go pick up Busch beer for, you know, Robert Fuller and them and drop it off at the pool. They lay out all day before we go to work. And then we would just lay out until it was time to get in our car and drive to the next. We worked 6 nights a week there. So it was awesome.
So do you think like, and I'll use these guys as an example, and not to anger any smart fans, the Revival, contrary to what every smart internet fan thinks, they were not over in WWE, not over in the least. So do you think it was the case of like a Furnace and LaFawn, like got these guys, they're like the new brain busters, let's send them to you. You've got the Bucks, you've got the Lucha Brothers, you got all these teams they can work with. Let's get them over. And they're going by FTR, which means fuck the Revival. Let's get them over. And then in a year, if they get that real over, I'm going to be needing them back. But then I'll send you, which is exactly what happened in ECW.
First of all, LaFont, what were their names again?
Furnace and LaFawn.
Yeah. LaFont, Furnace were an awesome, unbelievable tag team. Those guys had some serious skills. And we got to work against them a lot in ECW. I didn't realize till later they were in WWF. Like I had no really, you know, I knew who they were from being in Japan with them, but I didn't know they were working for Vince. At that time, I was zoned out in ECW. But they came in, we had a great, you know, good chemistry with those guys, and they were awesome to work with. Go ahead, continue what you were saying.
Do you think that and I used like the Revival, They're not over. They're over with the smart fans, which is, I'm sorry, smart fans, you're 2% of the audience. And I'll include myself in that 2%, but they're not over. I'm going to send them to AEW. Hey, Tony, get these guys over for me. You can have them for a couple of years. Then I'm going to need them back. You think that could be what's happening too?
Well, I think that Vince made a mistake not pushing them right, because all Vince has to do is push them right and they'll get over. I mean, he had tag teams that he actually split up that were actually over. It doesn't make any sense to me. He's known for that, splitting tag teams up and, screwing one guy. You know what I'm saying? Not cool. I think they're a great tag team, them guys. I think they got good chemistry. They got old school skills. They're going to be over anywhere they go, honestly, I felt. And I thought it was a great idea for them to jump ship over there, because Vince don't know, like I said, their writers don't know what they're fucking doing. I mean, what are they doing? Like, we used to have 6 months of angles. It's like back in the day when they had all the soap operas. You couldn't wait for the next day because did he live? Did he die? What happened? That's all you want to know. So back in the day when they had angles all the time, you know what I mean? It was just great work, and ECW kept that up with angles, between, like you said, Raven and Dreamer, or Raven and Sandman, or Sandman and Funk, or, all the angles, me and Shane, they were all top angles, and we went a long time with them. Like, it wasn't like, okay, we're doing this for 2 months and we're changing it. It didn't work out that way. It was like, if I'm doing the Eliminators, I'm going to be with the Eliminators for at least 6-7 months, so we get this angle situated. And that's what Paul used tag teams for, is we would have these matches and he would have different angles going on during our match. Like, you look back at 1995 double dog collar match, Pitbulls versus Raven and Stevie Richards. The Dudleys were in there. Fonzie was in there. Todd Gordon was in there. The choke slam was reinvented again. There was like 7 different angles going on in that one match we had.
Well, do you think Vince has, would you say you think he has a working relationship, or do you think he may own a little piece of that company?
I know how Vince is, and he's a mark for the NFL. The way I look at it is, if he wants the NFL, he wants to be in the NFL. He just wants to have a piece of the NFL because it's money. So for him to throw in and say, look, hey, I have some talent that I'm going to give to you right away because I don't know what to do with them. That's what it comes down to. Look at Christian. Come on. You're not saying, if they brought Edge back, why wouldn't they brought Christian back when they never left Vince? You may have not seen them wrestle, but they were on the network and they had shows on the network.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that in itself, and then you got Hardy there. You got his brother still works for Vince. He's not letting him go. I don't know, man. I think he's in cahoots. I think 100%. And I'm looking at what's going on all over the internet, and everybody's talking about it. You know what I mean? Because you sit back and think about it. Just think about what he's doing. He had better business when he was going against another wrestling company. He got better ratings because you gave the people, the fans, an option. And he took that all away from everybody. And guess what he got? Shit. His ratings suck. He's the big boy, the big boss man, but what's he doing? He's losing money. He's paying huge contracts to guys like, first of all, why would you get rid of Braun Strowman? Okay, he's a monster. He looks like a fucking wrestler. You see what I'm saying? That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? A lot of these releases don't make sense to me. Andrade, like you were talking about, he's a good worker. Good worker. I don't care. Some people don't like him. Hey, but he can wrestle his ass off. He can.
What I always found funny, I mentioned it to you the other day, Eddie Guerrero's daughter, Shaw Guerrero, said she can't go by the name Shaw Guerrero because Eddie had sold the Guerrero name to Vince. So she can't use that name. Yet in AEW, not only do we have Vicky Guerrero, we now have Chavo Guerrero, both using that name. Chavo's the mouthpiece for Andrade, which is good. But so this girl can't go work on an indie using the Guerrero name, but these people can go on national television using the Guerrero name. It doesn't make sense.
I agree. Quick, just so you know, my computer is like battery ready to go out. So if I get cut off, it's because my computer battery is done. So I just want to give you that heads up. But yeah, I did notice the Guerreros were there, which is good. Like I said, Vince don't have, what is Vince going to do with them? You know what I'm saying? Like even if he had him under contract, he's done everything he can with Chavo. I mean, what else is he going to do with Chavo? You know, and Vicky's Vicky. She's the screamer, and that's what she does, screams and pisses people off, and it works. So.
Well, I guess being your computer's getting ready to die, I guess that would be it for this week's episode. We'll have to charge it and get a log roll. We didn't get to talk about much but wrestling, but
That's cool.
You got any appearance? I know you had an appearance last week. Do you got anything else coming up?
Yeah, I want to give a good plug out. I was in Connecticut last weekend actually with Jazz, who's retiring, two-time women's championship. She had the belt twice. Also, I was with Circle of Champions. It's finally the real story of women's professional wrestling. It's a documentary that we're doing, and it went fabulous. We made the Connecticut newspaper, front page of the sports section. So it's starting to go crazy out there. People are starting to talk about this thing pretty big, and it's going viral, and that's what we've been doing. I'll be talking about more of my dates coming up. I got some stuff. I'll be going to Seattle, Washington soon. So everybody out there, like I said, you know, hit me up on my Facebook. You can always hit Corey up, and we'll get down to business. But yeah, we got a lot more to talk about, man. A lot more to talk about.
I guess that's it for this week, and we'll be back same time next week.
See you later, man. Peace out.